So in this video, I'm going to give you the plot to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, this is a very dark movie, and some of the plot lines in this movie are very dark and very horrendous. And I'm actually going to go into quite a bit of detail. Now, one of the points does involve Quentin Tarantino back in 2003, which I'll go into. Now, if you disagree with any points, please leave your comments below, or any questions, again, please leave your comments below. But I'm going to go in quite a bit of detail, and we'll explain the plot of this movie. Now, we're told that Leonardo DiCaprio plays a fictional cowboy actor. Now, he's actually a bounty hunter. His character is a fictional bounty hunter actor because his TV show is called Bounty Hunter. Now, that is a key point that will come into this movie. Now, also, Brad Pitt is the stunt double for Leonardo DiCaprio, and we're told that this is 1969. But this movie actually starts in 1965 or 1966, and the reason is you see Leonardo DiCaprio on the TV show Hullabaloo. He appears to be hosting it. Now, Hullabaloo was actually a real-life TV show that did take place in 1965 to 1966. Now, in the storyline of this movie, early on, Leonardo DiCaprio's character meets Sharon Tate, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character falls in love with Sharon Tate, and he tries to enter into a relationship with Sharon Tate, who is played by Margot Robbie. But Sharon Tate rejects Leonardo DiCaprio's character because he's not good enough. Essentially, his career or his profile is not high enough for him to date Sharon Tate. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio's character does not take that as an insult. He takes it as motivation for him to improve his career so he can date women like Sharon Tate. And that is the key motivational force behind Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Now, this is where this movie all starts to tie together, and this actually happens in real life. This is factual information that took place surrounding 1969. So this is the Byrds, and they actually appeared on the Hullabaloo TV shows. This is a poster promoting their appearance. And Terry Melcher was the music producer of the Byrds, and he was actually the son of Doris Day. Now, Terry Melcher actually met Charles Manson on a number of occasions because Charles Manson tried to become a musician or a pop singer, and he wanted Terry Melcher to represent him as his producer, but Terry Melcher essentially rejected him and decided not to work with him. But Terry Melcher actually visited the Spahn ranch, which is a very famous ranch. Now, this ranch was used for cowboy movies throughout the 1960s. So this ranch is what brings together Leonardo DiCaprio's character, because Leonardo DiCaprio plays the role of a cowboy actor. So along with Terry Melcher visiting this ranch in real life, Leonardo DiCaprio's character also works at this ranch. But this ranch is actually where the Charles Manson family actually lived in real life. Now, the Charles Manson family was like a cult of around 150 people, and Charles Manson's concept was Helter Skelter, and this was based on the concept of a race war between white and black people. And this race war would actually lead to mass genocide where it could wipe out all of mankind. And it was a real threat that Charles Manson gave towards his followers. And what they actually did, the Charles Manson family turned this ranch into a fortified ranch or a compound. And they also had armed security guards patrolling this area that were all part of the Manson family. So that is what ties Leonardo DiCaprio's character in with this ranch, in with this plotline. So Charles Manson met Terry Melcher, wanted to become a real life music artist, but Terry Melcher rejected him. Now, what actually happened was the Charles Manson family went to this house, and they were going to kill Terry Melcher, who did live at that house, but he actually moved out. So he once lived at this house, but Terry Melcher moved out because Charles Manson wanted to commit revenge against Terry Melcher for rejecting him as a musical artist. Now, the actual person living at this house was Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. So as we said previously, Leonardo DiCaprio's character in 1965, he met and fell in love with Sharon Tate. Now, this is part of the fictional story of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But Sharon Tate was actually murdered at this house by the Manson family. Now, one of the people also murdered at that house was Jay Sebring, and Jay Sebring was a celebrity hairstylist, and one of his key clients was Bruce Lee, and he actually helped Bruce Lee's career a lot. He introduced him to movie producers and helped take off the career of Bruce Lee. Now, also Steve McQueen is also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Steve McQueen was actually invited to lunch at this house on the day of the murders. Now, this is where it gets very bizarre because Roman Polanski was married to Sharon Tate, and Roman Polanski actually believed it was Bruce Lee who committed the murders because there was a pair of glasses found at the scene, and they were very similar to shades or aviator type glasses that Bruce Lee wore, and the police actually investigated Bruce Lee for the murders. Now, Roman Polanski is a very controversial character, and he was accused or allegedly accused of forcing Sharon Tate into these very difficult scenarios sexually. I won't go into any details in this video, but they were actually part of a TV show called The Playboy After Dark in 1968, and this is a photo of them on the set. Now, we know that the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood does take place at the Playboy Mansion because there's a character called Playboy Mansion Guests listed on IMDb. So part of this movie, perhaps it's just a few minutes, does take place at the Playboy Mansion, and that will involve Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate, who appeared in the TV show Playboy After Dark. Now, Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski were married at the time of the Sharon Tate murders. Now, this is what brings Quentin Tarantino into the realm of Roman Polanski. Obviously, they were directors, but in 2003, Quentin Tarantino held a radio interview with Howard Stern. And Quentin Tarantino tried to defend Roman Polanski because in 1977, Roman Polanski committed a terrible act against a young girl. Again, I won't go into details because it's not really necessary, but controversially, Quentin Tarantino tried to defend what Roman Polanski did, and he tried to claim that the 13-year-old girl consented to what happened. Now, actually last year, Quentin Tarantino actually apologised for these comments. So this shows that Quentin Tarantino has held a long time interest in Roman Polanski and this whole storyline. So it actually reverts back to 2003 and the radio interviews. So Quentin Tarantino is very familiar with this whole storyline. Now, this is actually a photo taken from when Charles Manson was arrested at the Spahn ranch and parts of his disciples. So these were the Charles Manson family being arrested. Now, what actually happens in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is actually very different. What actually happens is that a few days before the murders take place, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are on a night out together, or they're in this scene where they're going through Hollywood at night, and they bump into Sharon Tate. Now, previously, back in 1965, 4 years before the Sharon Tate murders, Leonardo DiCaprio's character met Sharon Tate and fell in love, and they kind of bump into each other and reacquaint each other, and it's just perhaps just a few seconds of saying hello and then goodbye. But Leonardo DiCaprio meets Sharon Tate a few days before she's murdered by the Charles Manson family. Now, after the murders take place, Brad Pitt's character goes to meet Bruce Lee because, as I said previously, Bruce Lee was originally considered as one of the people who committed the murders because a pair of glasses were found at the scene, and Roman Polanski thought that those glasses belonged to Bruce Lee. So in this scene, this is Brad Pitt going to visit Bruce Lee to try to find out if it actually was Bruce Lee who committed the murders. Now, if it was Bruce Lee, Leonardo DiCaprio's character would have murdered Bruce Lee because Leonardo DiCaprio fell in love with Sharon Tate, and when Sharon Tate was murdered, Leonardo DiCaprio's character seeks revenge against whoever murdered Sharon Tate. But Brad Pitt's character discovers or gets the truth from Bruce Lee that it wasn't him. So what actually happens is, now, if you remember at the beginning of this video, I said that Leonardo DiCaprio's character was actually a bounty hunter. He played a actor who was a bounty hunter. So he uses his skills as an actor, the knowledge that he's picked up playing a fictional bounty hunter, to determine that it was actually Charles Manson. Now also, Leonardo DiCaprio's character as an actor would have filmed scenes at the Spahn ranch, so he may have met Charles Manson before the murders of Sharon Tate. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio's character finds this very traumatic experience because he fell in love with Sharon Tate and he actually knew or previously met Charles Manson, who went on to murder Sharon Tate. So he kind of blames himself for the murders of Sharon Tate. So what actually happens is, this is Leonardo DiCaprio turning up at the Spahn ranch, and what the ending of this movie is basically a revenge and a slaughter of the Charles Manson family at the Spahn ranch. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio is a fictional character, he's a fictional cowboy actor, but also listed as actors in this movie, or characters in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, are actually real life actors from a TV show called The Lancer. So you have the Lancer TV show, which features Wayne Morder and James Stacey, also alongside a fictional TV show featuring Leonardo DiCaprio as one of the actors. Now what happens is, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, they go to the Spahn ranch. Now it may actually involve other real life actors who Leonardo DiCaprio convinces to join in against the slaughter of the Charles Manson family. So Wayne Morder and James Stacey are actually real life people, and then two fictional characters, i.e. Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, perhaps even Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee was a friend of Sharon Tate. So basically a group of people led by Leonardo DiCaprio's fictional character, mixed in with real life characters, they go to the Spahn ranch and they commit a slaughter of the Charles Manson family. Now, when you watch the trailer for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it appears like quite a fun movie. Yet, this image really shows what very typical of Quentin Tarantino. And you can see this blood dripping down. So you know that this movie is actually going to turn into a very gory, very perhaps even horror-based movie of the slaughter of the Charles Manson family at the Spahn Ranch. Now, there were also disciples of the Charles Manson family. Now, one of them is Squeaky Fromm. Now, she's listed as appearing in this movie, and she actually attempted to assassinate US President Gerald Ford in 1975 after the Charles Manson family murders of Sharon Tate. Now, another one who's listed as appearing in this movie is Leslie Van Houten, who was Lulu, and she was the golden girl of Charles Manson. So what this movie actually is, this is rewriting the Charles Manson family history. So the Charles Manson family, they go and they actually kill Sharon Tate. But Leonardo's character falls in love with Sharon Tate when they met a few years before the murders. So Leonardo DiCaprio's character and Brad Pitt and also real life people, they go and commit a slaughter against the Charles Manson family and also people who commit future crimes. So this attempted assassination is no longer able to take place because Squeaky Fromm is slaughtered by Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And also Leslie Van Houten, this crime wasn't able to take place because again she was killed before the murders take place. So that is the plotline of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, if you have any questions or comments, if you agree or disagree, please leave your comments below. But that is the plotline of this movie. Now, it will be a very complex movie and it features a whole variety of different actors and real life people. Now, one of them is Joanna Pettit. Now, she appeared in Casino Royale, which featured the Rat Pack. Now, the Rat Pack of the 1960s were also customers of Jay Sebring. So it's actually Jay Sebring who plays a central role in this movie, or his character. And he was actually a celebrity hairstylist. So you have these real life celebrity icons like Bruce Lee and Steve McQueen, people like Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. Yet one of the actual central figures of tying all this movie together is Jay Sebring. And that is perhaps the in-depth knowledge that Quentin Tarantino spent building up this story. So that is the plotline of this movie. It's basically a fictional character falls in love with Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate is murdered, then he goes and slaughters the Charles Manson family at a ranch that he had previously worked at as a fictional Hollywood actor playing a cowboy. Now, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below and also like and subscribe.